unfortunately. Now Brock, we had an insane match, and the only things I remember about that match is my neck was broken, and I had to have surgery. Brock was very nervous because he was only in the business, he was only on TV for 6 months. So I didn't blame him for that. And they cut our time, so he was rushing, and I was trying to get him to slow down. And then obviously the missed shooting star. But, you know, I've been criticized for that. You know, why would you have Brock Lesnar, you know, do the shooting star at WrestleMania? Well, don't we have WrestleMania moments? Wasn't that a moment? You missed the shooting star press. So everybody still talks about it, right? But you have to remember, Brock, that was his finish move in OVW. So I wanted to do that to have a WrestleMania moment. Unfortunately, you know, Brock practiced it all week. He was doing it fine. He just kind of stuttered before he went, and he came up short. But, you know, it's still one of the most talked about moments ever. So, you know, the thing is, when he landed, first thing that came to my mind is, shit, I gotta hold this title for another month. Instead of worrying about him, I didn't care about him. I was just like, damn it, what am I gonna do for another month? I'm gonna hold this title. But I was glad he was okay. He's such an animal. But those 3 matches, they're all equally as good. It's just that Brock missed the shooting star press. Eddie Guerrero wasn't the same that everybody told me about. Still great, but not the one. But Sean, you know, he defies age. He was every bit as good the day he retired as he was when he started. I don't know how he did it. I don't know how he does it. You never know. Him, he could come back right now and have the greatest match of all time. He's that good.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson?
All right, Kurt, thanks for tonight and your speech. I just want to take you back to 2001. I was about 5 years old, just watching this match between you and Shane McMahon at King of the Ring in a street fight. When probably you, yeah, go on, give him a round. Well, I thought, for this 5-year-old kid, to think you nearly killed Shane McMahon by throwing him through the glass hundreds and hundreds of times just to break it and put me in a concussion. I just wanted to tell you ask about your story to that.
Yeah, that's, I don't know if any of you heard about this. That's the night, 2 years in a row I wrestled King of the Ring. I wrestled 3 matches, 2 years in a row. I think I'm the only person to ever do that. The first year I won the King of the Ring. I wrestled 3 matches that night. Next year, I won the first 2. I lost the Edge in the finals. And then there was an extra feature match against Shane. It was a street fight. I deserve no credit for that match because I didn't structure it. I just showed up and I did what Shane McMahon and now Al Snow structured. I actually got a concussion that night against Christian. I wrestled Edge the next match, and I also wrestled Shane. And after the match, Shane and I both ended up in the hospital. That match was brutal. The crazy thing is, when Shane went through that glass was supposed to be sugar glass. And whatever moron that got the order mixed up, it was plexiglass, and not only did it not break, but if it did break, we were getting cut pretty badly. We both got a bunch of stitches. So the funny thing is, we didn't have any pyro that night. No explosions, because Vince was afraid that the glass was gonna break. Well, shit, you know. Didn't even break when I threw Shane through it. That was a scary night. I had a concussion. I broke my tailbone that night. Actually, that match, that was a blessing because I got hurt so bad that me and Austin got put together for our comedy skits. I think Austin got hurt that night too, and we got to just do comedy, no more wrestling for like 3 months, and it was the funnest time I ever had. And there was nothing written for Steve and I. We did all that improv, and I remember Vince when we would do those, you know, when we had the cowboy hats on. Vince would say, "Listen, I'm sorry if I swear, and you guys he'd say, any of you fuckers laugh before this is over, okay, you're fired. When I say action, nobody say a word till I say cut. And then Vince would tell us, okay, just start talking about this subject. And then we would do it, and it was magic. But going back to the match, Shane wouldn't go through the glass. So what did I do? I knew Vince was pissed. I heard he actually walked through and he was almost made it to us. But then I eventually got Shane through the glass, and I think Vince sat down. But on the way back, Shane hit again and it didn't break again. So I said, shit, I'm gonna throw him face first. and I still didn't know it was plexiglass, so Shane ended up getting about 28 stitches in his face because I threw him face first through the plexiglass. But that was the most dangerous match I've ever been in. Shane, actually, I give him credit for that. Shane, we all know Shane McMahon only wrestled a handful of times, but every time he wrestled, did he not steal the show? I mean, I wish I had that talent that I didn't even have to get in the ring and bump, but every time I wrestled, I stole the show. Shane did that. That's what was so special about him. But he never wanted to be a wrestler. He just wanted to get in there and mix it up with the best of them every once in a while. But that was the most brutal match I ever had, and I was very proud of it. And I never like to take credit for it because I had nothing to do with it. I just went out there and did what I was told, and I always give Shane credit because he's the one that put it together, and he made that a work of art. That was a 5-star. I don't like those matches because they're not really wrestling matches, but to be a part of that and know that I was able to, you know, change my style into a hardcore style, which I'm not a hardcore wrestler, but be able to have that type of match, it was an honor.
Fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to be the last